This is Real Talk with Maurice Williams. Today we're going to scroll through Instagram and react to some reels from Nick Fuentes and one from Isabella Moody.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that.
Is the irony lost on anybody that this is coming from a Jewish Zionist who says that if Israel gets in any trouble, that America needs to go and defend them? In other words, the American taxpayer has no obligation to bail out the American people. The American government has no obligation to the American people. Americans are not entitled to live in America. But Israel is entitled to all of that. If you're an American and it's not comfortable for you in New York, hey, man, get lost. Don't expect the American government to help you. But if you're a Jew in Israel and you're in trouble, well, then America has to send you missiles and fight your wars and give you money. Really? Israel's health care is paid by America. Israel's defense is paid for by America. Israel's existence in the Middle East is guaranteed by America. The land quite literally was promised to them, and we are the guarantors of the promise. But Americans are not guaranteed their own country. Ben Shapiro is a guest here. He's a child of immigrants, recent immigrants. He married an Israeli. Do you know that about Ben Shapiro? Do you know that his wife is not even American? His wife is Israeli, which means his children are Israeli. He had to move to Florida where there's all Jews there. He moved to a neighborhood. Of course, South Florida is all Jewish. What's the problem? You couldn't find an American woman, couldn't get married in America? You didn't like Nashville? They believe in blood and soil nationalism in Israel. In order to secure citizenship, all you have to do is prove you're ethnically Jewish on a DNA test. It's called birthright. It's your birthright to live there. And so for Israel, they're blood and soil nationalists. They're fascists. Ben Shapiro says all the Arab Muslims need to be picked up and kicked out of Israel because this needs to be a Jewish country for Jews. It has to be here. It has to be ethnically Jewish people living here. The state has to be Jewish. They're Jewish nationalists. God promised them that. But then those Jewish people come here. Ben Shapiro's ancestors come from Russia. Those people come here. And for America, they say, well, this place is for everybody. You're not promised anything.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here.
Okay, so the first half of this I agree with. Ben Shapiro is saying that well, I don't know if he's actually said this. He's saying that the people who can't afford to live in New York should move. Nick Fuentes is trying to say, well, Ben Shapiro is somebody who believes that Israel should be bailed out by America when they get in trouble, and I do agree with that. I think that when Israel does something, whether it's right or wrong, America bails them out. They give them money, they give them military intelligence, etc. We provide shielding from them from the rest of the world, right? We protect Israel. But then he's saying that if an American, a citizen, falls in trouble, no one's supposed to help them. So I do believe there's irony there that Nick is correctly pointing out. The second part, when he kind of just went into all of the ways that Ben is Jewish and he married an Israeli person and all this, and his parents were from Israel, they're immigrants, but he was born here. I just don't get into all of that. I don't really care. You know, America's already diverse. There are people who come from all kind of places. That's why he tried to say, well, a recent immigrant, because he knows Europeans are immigrants and they came when the Native Americans, which are East Asians, were already here. So I don't get into all that mess. So yeah, Ben Shapiro's, I'm not going to say he's two-faced, but he's a hypocrite. But then Nick, I can't call Nick a hypocrite, but he continues to post false narratives about people. So I'm really getting tired of hearing Nick just constantly pile it on about Jews, and any one Jewish person does something and he finds a way to connect it to every Jewish person, and then other Jewish people are up to no good. So then he connects the one bad Jewish person to the other Jewish people who are up to bad. It's like, bro, they got a bad Jewish individual. Yes. They have bad Jewish groups or bad individuals that come together as a collective to do bad things and they're Jewish. Yes. But you keep tying this to Israel as a whole or tying it to Jewish people as a whole. It's bullshit. It's dumb. It's low IQ. And you're just feeding onto like fear and, fear and insecurities in people who aren't critically thinking. So you should be ashamed of yourself for trying to push these false narratives on people who may not be taking the time to really understand what you're saying. Another Nick Fuentes clip. Let's see what the dumbass is talking about this time.
Nothing that has been promised has come to fruition. Can we end the wars? No. Trump wants to go back to Afghanistan. We're bombing Iran. We're building a base in Gaza. Mass deportations, Trump says, not so fast. We actually need all the people. We need the illegal farm workers. We need the illegal hospitality workers. We need the illegal construction workers. We're going to shut down H-1Bs, foreign students. Not so fast. We need all those Asians to fund our universities and do all the jobs that Americans are too retarded to do. Cut the deficit, forget about it. Epstein files, they don't exist. Can't afford a home? Well, get lost. Here we are a year in, your golden age. And it was rotten from the start because the donors got involved. And you have to understand that these things go hand in hand. When Trump started, he was not surrounded by the money. When Trump started, he funded his primary campaign with like $70 million. And it was just him and a small staff, and he was on Twitter, and that was it. And that's why it was energetic. That's why it was daring and risk-taking and exciting. And what happened really right after he won the election the first time in 17 and 18 is that all of the interests surrounded him, the money, the shills, the personnel, the bureaucrats. And the second that happened, they poisoned the well. And suddenly it became cautious and conventional and boring and safe. And suddenly it became about everyone getting a handout. Suddenly it became about patronage. Everybody getting their back scratched. Everybody getting taken care of under the table. Israel lobby, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, the corporate tax cuts, moving the embassy. It became about everything other than the people. These things go hand in hand. About personnel, about the Israel lobby, about the Trump campaign, about why things aren't happening quickly or at all. All these things are deeply related. If the Heritage Foundation is controlled by Israel lobbyists, if the Republican Party is controlled by the Israel lobby and the interests, if they're policing the young people in the speech, if they're working for the donors and the rich, then you're never going to get the good policy. You're never going to get your American revival. They're fucking killing our country. Every time the president of the United States says we have to take care of the universities before the young people, we have to take care of Hyundai and the South Koreans before we train up our own workforce, they're killing our country. They're murdering our country. Nothing that has been promised has come to fruition. Can we end the wars? No. Trump wants to go back to Afghanistan. We're bombing Iran. We're building a base in Gaza. Mass deportations, Trump says, not so fast. We actually need all the people. We need the illegal.
Okay, so basically, I see why Nick, who is alt-right, is beefing with Trump right now. Trump is going more mainstream, and he's clashing with some of the things that he said when he first was running way back when Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller were in his camp. Trump is not, I guess, as based as he used to be to people like Nick. What I will say in Trump's defense is he's probably saying we need the East Asians because they're intelligent, they're able to do the jobs at a high standard and at a high level, the high skilled jobs, and we have to still compete with East Asia where there's a higher amount of intelligence than America. So that's why we have the H-1B visas. Also, when they talk about the lower class, Nick and them, and a lot of people on the alt-right, they don't like the brown people, the less educated immigrants. Well, the less educated immigrants produce a lot of services, whether construction work, building houses, cleaning, etc. Right? So as I said on Critical Commentary, I've mentioned that whether you're making a lot of money or in the upper class or in the lower class, you're needed to help make this country prosperous. So we need everybody, and that's why Trump is saying we can't get rid of these people. The Republicans like to highlight the violent criminals and the rapists and the murderers. We do need to get rid of them, and the Democrats agree with that. The issue is when they run, they make it seem like it's all immigrants, and they make it seem like it's all brown people or all low class people, etc. When really there's millions and millions of people who fit these descriptions, and all of them are not bad. So that's why when Trump actually gets in office, he has to run from reality. He has to respect these people because we We need these people. So Americans, keep doing what you're doing and don't listen to the fools like Nick Fuentes who try to talk down about you. You're doing a great job. Continue to be productive citizens in America. Okay, Isabella, I actually know her. I forgot why she blocked me, but she's one of the people on the alt-right who blocked me, guys. A lot of them blocked me. Oh, so what I will say is, Isabella Moody, you need to apologize to Isabella DeLuca. You said some very nasty things about her, and so did Myron Gaines. Like, I think sometimes the people on the right are too quick to demonize women, and they talk trash about them, call them whores, etc. So yeah, even before I checked this out, I just had to let Isabella Moody know that she did block me, and Myron Gaines as well. Y'all need to apologize to Isabella DeLuca.
I'm Emily, and I do Onlyfans. I hate to burst your bubble, bitch, but you are a trashy freaking mid-slut. The arm tattoos, by the way, is so disgusting. You couldn't be worse. Actually, I guess you could be. I'm just reminiscing on some of the people I just reacted to, but you're still a dumb whore. That's all you'll ever be. Bye, bitch. Hi, I'm Emily.
Okay, so everybody has the right to speak. I mean, she says that girls who do OnlyFans or who dress like this, I guess she's trying to push a narrative that they're sluts and they're whores. Some girls who are on OnlyFans, I consider whores like people if they're sleeping with people or sleeping with them for money. So some girls on OnlyFans are doing that. They're having sex on camera, but I would assume, based upon the stat that came out that says like 1 in 10 girls on OnlyFans, I would assume that some of them are on OnlyFans not having sex, right? I don't necessarily know what goes on OnlyFans. I'm getting a little bit older, so I'm not in the know. But basically, I would say that sometimes, and I have cousins and relatives, etc. I would say that there's a narrative that more liberal dressing women who kind of dress in a way that shows their body. A lot of people called them whores because they say back in the old days they would call them fast. I would just say this. I judge people by their character, right? Not who they sleep with, not how they dress, right? So I'm not going to call somebody necessarily a whore. I don't think they actually fit the description of what a whore is to me, right? So it seemed like that was part of a reaction where she was responding to other things women were doing. So basically, it seems like her show or her content is just trashing other women. I believe she's married, and that's good for her. So she's conservative. So she's pushing family values. Nothing is wrong with that. I just think that other people are trying to find their mate, find their spouse. So people do that the way they feel comfortable, right? And I guess she's putting across a narrative that because she's on OnlyFans, she's a whore. My thoughts on OnlyFans is I do see, or at least know, that women have sex on OnlyFans and that's for money. So if you're sleeping around with men, I would consider you a whore if the reason you're sleeping with the man is money and not actually wanting to be with him. And same thing with OnlyFans. If you're having sex on OnlyFans to make money, I see how that's like whole behavior. So I understand that. But I would also say just because a woman dresses in a way that's provocative, I wouldn't call them a whore or a slut. And I think the right pushes that narrative a little too far. I'm saying this because I obviously have cousins, relatives, etc. And I know a lot of women. Women nowadays, they just dress not the way they did in the olden times. They show more skin, more flesh, etc. So obviously as a guy, I don't have a problem with it, but also I feel like it's wrong if I'm a guy. Sometimes women wear things that are maybe a little scat, or I don't want to call it scandalous, but a little revealing. It looks nice, right? So if, as a guy, I don't think I can disrespect them because of how they're dressed, and that includes talking down about them, right? Like the way you're dressed does not make me think too much into that, right? I just think you might like the outfit, you might like the look, you may think it looks nice or sexy, etc., right? I don't draw into that you're like a hoe, for example. I'll go on to the next clip. Maybe I'll start doing some more clips on like male-female relationship type things, because I know a lot of times I've been commenting on politics. So this is the last clip for this episode is something from Nick Fuentes.
I like being alive. I don't like knives lodged in my throat. So I don't go near black people. And I understand perfectly well. There are a lot of black people that are not violent. And I understand perfectly well there are a lot of black people that are really good people. I'm not going to roll the dice. What if I'm wrong? I'd rather be alive and too racist than dead and not racist enough. Is that simple enough? I like being alive.
Well, for one, I know you're intelligent, but this is a low IQ take from you, right? Obviously, you're trying to say that black people are more violent than some of the other races. This is true, but you're saying if you're around a black person, there's there's a likelihood something's gonna happen to you. There's a likelihood that something's gonna happen to you if you're around white people. You could be around white people and there could be a mass shooting, right? You could be around white people and the guy next to you could be some sort of pedophile, right? Because whites are 50% of the population, but they're 80% of the child pornography arrests, right? So I don't think you going around blacks, whites, Asians, Jews, etc. is gonna change the fact that you will be around people that may be violent, may be sinners, may be nasty, dirty people, right? All groups of people have violent people, pedophiles, etc., right? Criminals, people who use welfare, people who steal, right? So I don't see people who fight. I don't see how being around blacks does anything other than, yes, I'll agree with you. Since you are white, you're saying it's more likely that violence will break out around a black person than a white person. Yes. If you were smart, you would do what I'm trying to do, which is explain to society that blacks are more impulsive than whites. Whites are more impulsive than Asians. So we just need to understand these differences and work within each community of them understanding how they are, right? If you're more impulsive, just from birth, we just got to, as black people, understand, look, we're going to have a reaction, but let the reaction not be violence. Let the reaction not be cussing, etc. Again, I do believe that the cultures can change and become better, because that's what we've done as we've evolved. And unfortunately, this is real talk, so I can't really do a deep dive on this topic. But you're a low IQ for this statement. This is why people say you're racist. You're a proud racist, but for that, I have to call you retarded. And if I was Charlemagne, I would give you donkey of the day. So yeah, if you guys like real talk, let us know in the comments. Subscribe, share this with friends, guys. This is a little shorter, a little bit quicker content, so maybe the young people would be more willing to share it with their friends. And let them know in the comments if there's something you want me to cover, whether it's women's issues, etc. Let us know. We'll cover it. Peace. Love you guys. If you like this video, please smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. New shows airing Monday through Thursday.